Okay, and welcome back to part 4 of 4 for this week. I said this was big, understanding the network, so it was worth the time. So I will note that as we look at this slide, we left off with the client-server architecture. And so the client being the end user is making, you can see a user request, maybe through another client, a user request, but eventually getting to the server side of the program, which is going to then access a web database and maybe some HTML files, and the server is going to respond to you. This is essentially the client-server architecture along the way. And so with this, we can see some popular domain affiliation categories. We've all used .coms. Other clients on the server side, .biz, .edu, .gov, .net, and .org are some common domains. These are assigned actually by ICANN. That's the International Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. And it is working to manage the domain names and I believe the IP addresses as well. So there you have it, a little bit about that. Okay, now in the client-server architecture, I did want to point out, I skipped hyperlinks. So I wanted to mention that a hyperlink is that highlighted text or graphic in the web document. You would have clicked on a hyperlink to get this YouTube address, and your client would have reached out to the YouTube server to pull that back down, okay? And so you see how easy it is. What a great advantage to expedite communications and the transfer of data packets between the client making a request and the server responding to that request. And all of it done through your web browser, or sometimes we just call it a browser. That's the software used to access and view. So you used a web browser or browser to access Moodle to click on the hyperlink that brought you in the client server model this video. And so I think it's a pretty exciting setup there. This figure is meant to show the Google Chrome browser, which I use regularly, but there are other good ones out there, largely driven based on security, right? You want to consider security when picking your web browser. But notice the collection of pages on one particular topic accessed under the web domain which is called a website, right? And notice it's requesting your URL or just a name. If you type in a name like YouTube, it's going to go to the DNS, domain name service, to look up the actual IP address, and that's what it's going to reach out to, as we talked about. Now, a couple other things in this final session is the HTML. This is a standard language for describing web pages. And HTML is defined by W3C. That's the World Wide Web Consortium. And they've developed through a number of revisions, like anything, over time it matures. And so basically, I believe they're on the 5th version, or HTML5, right? That the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C, has identified. And so HTML uses what they call HTML tags, or sometimes we just say tags, right? These are codes that tell the browser how to format the text and graphics, the heading, the body, etc. And the website creators also mark up a page by placing these tags before and after words, for example, right? Now, I wanted to point out XML. XML is extensible markup language for web documents, and it's going to contain structured information, including words and pictures. And so XML doesn't have a predefined tag set like HTML. Remember, with HTML, the tag always means a first level heading and how it's formatted. But XML web documents contain the content of the web page and the formatting of the content and the style. Anyhow, it's pretty exciting. XML is being used then to support HTML in dynamic web pages. There's also cascading style sheets, which is a file portion of the HTML file that defines the visual appearance of a web page. You can read more about that in the book itself. So here is a picture that where you can see the website itself down at the bottom, Cengage, which is the creator, the sponsor of this course book that we're using, right? And so the websites are going to use CSS to define the design and layout of the web page. It's going to use XML to define the content, and that HTML is going to join the CSS and XML together to deliver that content to you. So I think that's pretty exciting. Okay, so developing web content and applications. I'm just kind of jumping through this because I think we've covered the bulk of the really great material, but this is still important, especially if it interests you. There are a lot of popular tools for creating web pages and managing web pages. GoDaddy would be a great one. Not only do they assign domains, but they also help you create your web page. And then after a website is created, you can publish it. And there are a number of publishing options. GoDaddy will do that for you as well. Now, and of course, this would be a site, an example of a place to create a web page, another option for you. Okay, so here we are then. We're on Web 2.0. The original web was Web 1.0. Now we're on 2.0. So we want to, the trends in how the web is used and perceived has created a lot of dramatic changes, right? And so we spiral. The first web evolved from a one-directional resource where users only obtain information in this approach, like from YouTube or Wikipedia or Facebook. And the web has grown more powerful as the tools grow and the latency is reduced. And so now it can support full-blown software applications. The web is becoming a computing platform itself, like Google Docs. And so these trends have created a shift, and we end up now in Web 2.0 currently. So Web 2.0 sees the web as a computing platform that supports software applications and information sharing amongst users along the way. As I mentioned, enhancing social networking websites, for example. Okay, and so this is allowing technology-savvy developers and businesses to change their public view, their approach, right? And so even social media, I think, is on Enterprise 2.0, right, in this approach. And, you know, it would be interesting if we had the time to discuss the social networking sites that you're using and how they've changed and which to use more often. What do you like best, right? Because you can apply the experiential portion of what the developers themselves are putting out. Now, education and training are part of those domains. Remember, we said .edu. And so the ability to obtain online education and training using PCs, tablets. We're doing this right now. And so the idea of using mobile devices to read your ebooks and conduct classes, to me, is very exciting along the way. In addition, excuse me, I'm going to make it. I swear. I promise. Well, I hope. So this figure shows the idea of how using the internet site can help people find even jobs or apply for jobs online, right? And this is that dynamic Web 2.0 that is created in conjunction with the HTML we talked about, the CSS, the XML, all coming together using the client-server architecture through your internet service provider, right? Just trying to tie these terms together. And let's not forget about the search engine. I mean, Google is famous as a search engine. And so it's a valuable tool that allows us to find information about the web. Google itself only began in about 1997, so not that long ago. There were many search engines that preceded it. Bing was a search engine that is another one, right? Even though where the world's dominated by Google, you have Bing, you have Yahoo, and others still with their various focuses, right? But this is a way of performing research on the web, including libraries, research databases, and other services. In fact, if you're interested in research, you could use LexisNexis Academic Universe. That's LEXIS, one word, LexisNexis Academic Universe. It's one of the most popular private databases that you can search. And of course, we all benefit from instant messaging, right? That online real-time communication between two or more people who are connected via this internet. Many people use Facebook Messenger. There's Kick Messenger, Instagram, Skype, Snapchat, WhatsApp, WeChat, many, many more along that. You may be interested to know that mobile operators lost $23 billion in 2012 alone as teens shifted away from texting over cellular networks in favor of communicating with their friends over the internet using instant messaging apps. So you'd want to consider, as an information systems manager, the business model in addition to what you are working on. And here's some pictures of there's LexisNexis, right? Meant to show that. So there you go. Microblogging, status updates, news feeds, these all become part of our, it's a Twitter-like news and blog post feeds. So where would I be in the internet if I didn't mention Twitter? That's the microblogging services, which did allow 144 characters max. Now I think it's almost doubled. Maybe it's 280 under the current ownership, which is neat. Don't forget blogs are out there. These are websites that people and businesses use to share their observations, experience, and opinions. You get a lot of good opinions. Reddit is a very popular blog that you could consider along the way. There's also content streaming like podcasts and things like that that you would want to consider. And of course, internet streaming brings us to methods of transferring very large files over the internet so that the data stream, the voice, and the pictures that come with it play more or less continuously as the file is being downloaded, which is really pretty darn exciting. I did want to mention online shopping, right? And it grows and grows and grows, and Amazon is famous for its sale periods, our electronic purchase periods, and so you could use any number of variations of that along the way. There's also auction sites like eBay, very popular, using the intranet or extranet. And don't forget VPN. From a security perspective, VPN makes sure your communications goes securely. You will establish a secure connection with your bank. You don't want people watching those. The intranet is an internal corporate network that's built using the internet and the World Wide Web. The extranet is a network built using web technologies that link the selected resources within a company together. And of course, VPNs for security. Okay, that's it. I'm out of time. I had fun this week. I will see you online.